ninjas, my killer. My biggest goal in life is to have as many of you guys playing your music out. And when you're playing it out, people are dancing, grooving. They're not laughing, crying, going to buy a Bud Light, maybe a bit of crying, but who the? So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys some concepts when it comes to breakdowns that you can use. So next time, instead of taking a break and grabbing some cacahuates from the kitchen because you get hungry all of a sudden when you're going to go into your break, now you're going to stick around and you're going to kill it. Go back. So the first thing you must understand with a breakdown is that you want to go back. You want to give the listeners a break. It's in the name, breakdown. Damn, right? But it is somewhat true. And in all honesty, with the break, the first thing that you can start to do is you can start to simplify and you can give a break, create contrast. So for example, here I have these drums. They're part of Deceiver 7 coming at the end of this week. You can use this loop as well if you want. Come be in there, right? So for the break, this loop might turn into something more basic like that, okay? The other thing too, you will find with many breaks, and about 97% of them, is the low end of the song is filtered, either removing low end 95% of the time, but also you can use it to, let's say you have a bass like this on the drop. Fuck yeah, fuck that. Join me, guys. Come on. Fuck that. Anyways, if it's fully open and you're gonna do some other stuff on the break, then you can also scope back. Break. Give the top end a break so you can filter that when needed. So scope back. Don't be scared. Grab your drums. How far can you scope back before it kind of sounds too empty? And if it sounds too empty, here is the second thing that I want you to be focusing on when you're working on your breakdowns. Introduction of elements. So in many breakdowns, there is stuff that will happen that will get introduced. Of course, you're taking stuff away, but the reason we take away is to give people a break, but also to introduce new ideas into your song, like a vocal, like a synth hook. Maybe a demonic horn. Maybe you want to show them who's boss, Chris Lake's playing right after you and you want to show him, hey, fuck it. Like you come in with a bang. So that's the point of a break, is to introduce stuff. So in your break, you can use it, especially towards the beginning of a song, introducing stuff like vocals for, say.
Come on, let's do it. Come on, let's go. Out of control. Out of control.
And as you do that, you might find, oh, now I can start to add atmosphere and stuff. Because the moment you introduce something, your brain's going to work. It's going to go like, okay, this new thing has been presented in front of the human that I live in. And how are we going to suck the life force out of it, kind of vibe. But if you have that vocal, maybe you can come in with some atmosphere.
Come on, let's do it. Come on, let's go.
Like this beautiful, sick pad that's just there, haunting from All Stars Volume 2. Most underrated drum and bass pack out there. So you can use it to introduce stuff, introduction of elements. For instance, another big thing in techno, in poppy groove trance at 140 with the house drums and shit, is that you can introduce melody in your break. And usually this will happen more towards the end, the last breakdown of a song. And Chris Lake, Mal P are really good at doing this, and that's why they stream so well. Is because there's substance to their breaks, okay? There's more to it than meets the eye. There's depth. Instead of the break, we can get melodic.
Come on, let's go.
Okay, that pad is not it for this section, but you get the point. Now from here, we get into the next big thing that breakdowns are for. And again, as I give you these concepts, it doesn't mean you have to use all of them. It's just more of things that you want to be thinking about, okay? And the third thing is going to be telling the story of the song in a different way. In pop music, they have something known as a bridge. And in the bridge, usually it's going to be a part of the song where you're like, what happened? I'll give you guys an example in this track here. In the beginning, this vocal is very, very Genesee, Max Dali, West Endie, right? But now for the main break, again, telling the story in a different way. So I'm like, okay, what can I do to the vocal in order to do the same thing? But now what's that fresh new take that I can do on it? Now, depending on the person, they might go, let's make it sound more demonic. But I'm a guy and I have really strong emotional feelings, and I decided to harmonize it. So Like that. Okay, and that's the change in story. And then, okay. So we tell the story in a different way. That is the point of a break as well. In techno, this break is usually like Space 92. It's going to get all melodic and epic tension in the break. So how do you do tension? Well, usually, let's say that you've been hearing something like this, right? Let's say you're at the bass, you're like, come on, let's do it. Come on, let's go. Out of control. This is the Deceiver 7 bass right there, baby. But now let's say that the bass starts all of a sudden just doing this. Now you're like, oh shit, you know, that's tension right there because you're anticipating something. You're like, okay, what's gonna happen? What are we doing? All right, doesn't mean you have to do that, but also, but again, you create that by changing something that the listener printed on in your drops and changing it up in the break to where it's like, oh shit, something's gonna happen. You know, it's a moment in the song where like people are in the crowd looking at each other like, what the fuck? But from their vocal, just instead of repeating that vocal, we just repeat control, control, control with a delay. Make the DJ look like a superstar. Pretty much like they're gonna be like, oh shit, the DJ's doing that. No, I'm doing that in my studio, creating that tension. You know, the goosebumps factor, setting up everything. And then, you know, we go, and then, you know, do the thingy-majiggies. Tension. It's gonna happen. Oh shit. Yep, there you go. And then you let go, release it. And that's what makes music so enjoyable. It's that change in energy that you just heard. Right now, many of you guys are like, goosebumps. I made you feel that. I'm kidding. This in mind, the next thing that a breakdown is there for is change of energy, or better known as contrast. If your song isn't moving up and isn't moving down, it's a boring song. You should be able to give your mom a book and you should be able to have her draw the energy of your song. She should be able to capture it, okay? Everyone should be able to do it. And if she does this, then you better pray your hands simmer and you're waiting for someone to get capped in the goddamn before you get the energies and shit, because it looks like it's a goddamn movie the whole way. Flatlining, okay? Not to be confused with Mr. Oizo's flat beat, but create energy change. And the way you do that, obviously, is by scoping back, but also creating tension and building up, okay? So building up, simple snare build rolls. Okay. One of the sick things I did for Deceiver 7 as well was, you know, I'm getting tired of making these uplifters for you guys that sound like... So I was like, how can I retell the story there? So here we have a synth shot that's constantly just going to be like getting more and more reverby. And as we go to the right, pitches up. And that creates tension, change of energy. The energy's coming up. And that's how you go there. Now, if you wanted to do that yourself, literally all you need is just like a cool little synth preset. Stay thick, my friends. And you're just going to do this. I like to use Endless Now, not to be confused with the Timo version of PML's Endless Cry for some reason. But I just noticed that. And let's see, we'll go here. And then just go to up. And as it goes up, swells up. And then here's a little pro tip for you guys, because you made it this far in the video. You put a shifter after that. And then you just automate this guy up. Just to cement everything, I'm also going to show you guys a different example in a track that's a little bit more melodic. For instance, the previous one we talked about was contrast, right? So if your song, let's say, has like a rolling bass, right? Then what is the opposite of a rolling bass? A sustained bass. So for the break, if you want to do a huge change of energy, contrast, we will go and switch into more sustained bass. Get that. And that helps create the contrast. At the same time, we're scoping back because all the drums went away. right? And then from there, we're creating, again, more interest for the listener. But now after that, we get into the tension portion where it's just,
You can't stand the thought of a real beating heart. You'd be
I want to show you guys another example of the tension thing as well. Here, for example, we have this reverb, and as you approach the drop, the reverb on the clap is just getting bigger and bigger. So it's like the other one we talked about, except now it's on a clap. Gonna introduce a vocal, we're gonna scope back the drums a bit, and we're gonna provide some atmosphere. Atmosphere. The drums change to more atmospheric style of drums. Here I want to show you guys a mid break, which is just going to utilize the tension that we were talking about before, where if the bass is constantly doing do for the break, we can also scope back the bass to a just simple like 2-bar or bar loop that creates a lot of tension. All the concepts we talk about are just here. Change, contrast. So these are all the concepts that I'm thinking of whenever we are working in a breakdown. And sometimes I'll even get students that come into our sessions and they're just like, what would you do in the break? And a lot of the times it's very hard to get inspired by what they're making because it's just not my song. But a lot of times using these concepts, I'm able to kind of guide them through it and go, do you want to get melodic? Do you want to develop more tension? What kind of track are you trying to build? And from there, all of these concepts come into play. Some of the ones that I forgot to mention were pretty much automation, right? So that's going to be more about automating stuff, getting the snare built louder, automating stuff down in volume, filtering stuff open, and so forth. So those are definitely some things you want to be looking at. But other than that, when it comes to breaks, keep it simple. It's in the name. We need a break. And with that being said, if you guys enjoyed any of the sounds in these videos, I am using Deceiver 7 for the first example and the last example. And again, it should be coming out at the end of this week. I will have a demo for you guys so you guys can download if you want in the description if you guys want to try out some of the sounds, but it will be fully out this Thursday night. And with that being said, you guys take care and I'll catch you guys next time for another video. Peace out and you guys have a great rest of your day.